Hi, guys. So, we talked about this story yesterday. We did a story on Felicia Johnson. And during our discussion of the Felicia Johnson story, there was some people in the chat, and one person in the chat hinted that there was an allegation that Felicia Johnson's father is a well-known pimp out in the San Diego, California area. And, that is what made the story a little bit more concerning, a little bit more sketchy. So let me catch you guys up on the story if you didn't watch my first video. Felicia Johnson is a 24-year-old Californian. She is from San Diego, California. Just April, she celebrated her 24th birthday, and then she went down to Texas to look for a job. However, she is in a sketchy type of industry. She was applying for a dancer type job, to be, essentially a stripper. But there had been updates that just happened today about this story. So we're going to talk about those updates. So my questions were kind of sparked when someone in the chat said that Felicia Johnson's dad is a well-known pimp. And so that kind of made the story a little bit more suspicious. Now there are allegations from the news reports that allegedly Felicia Johnson posted an Escort ad. She posted this Escort ad. The guy who ended up taking her life, I believe, based on the information that you're going to see on this report, he responded to that Escort ad. He told her to meet him at an apartment complex, but specifically he had her meet him at this apartment complex where he no longer resided. This was an apartment complex where he had previously lived, but he moved. I think that was specifically because he had the intent, in my opinion, to take this woman's life from the very beginning before he even met up with her. But he didn't want law enforcement to track him down. And he knew that, they would be able to track the Uber and where the Uber was located when it dropped her off. So he was trying to clear any traces back to him. So he had her come to, that's why there was questions that we had yesterday about, well, why was she at one apartment complex when she's not from Texas, and then he takes her to another apartment complex? It was just weird. Well, that was because he specifically had her come to this apartment complex where he had previously lived, but he no longer resided. So she comes there, then he comes to pick her up from that apartment and takes her to his actual apartment where he currently resided. I believe that's because he wanted to throw the officers off any trace of connecting him to her so that, he could basically get away with this murder. Another update is that he had searched online how to be a successful, serial killer. So this man, I believe, was going to make a career. I know this sounds sick. A sick career out of, responding to these different escorts, taking their life, basically, and trying to master getting away with it. This was something I believe he was going to continue to do. This was his first shot at it with Felicia Johnson. He researched how to do it. Clearly, his research was not effective because he was caught very quickly. Pretty sure they probably found the Escort ad. They were able to utilize her phone because they found her bloody phone. And in that bloody phone, they found communications between her and Nomobadu. I can't say his name, guys. I can't say his name. Let me just say the Nigerian, because I just slaughtered that man's name. So the Nigerian man, they probably found allegedly communications in her phone with him and her about him responding to her Escort ad. And that's how they were able to trace it back to him, get the warrant. They went into his house, looked up his computer information, all that was all found. So this story is sad that Felicia Johnson was in a very dangerous career, and then it makes more sense because people are saying that her dad was a well-known pimp. It makes me wonder, was he pimping his own child? Was he pimping his own daughter? That's sick. I mean, I don't know if that's true, guys. I'm just asking the question. If allegedly what people are saying, he's a pimp, his daughter was out escorting, I wonder if he knew that she was going there with the intent to escort, and was he her pimp? It's just sad, you guys. Oh my God, this story is more sad. So they met up with the intent of having an SEX exchange. But I believe the Nigerian man His intent was never to pay her. His intent was always to take her life. He already searched it beforehand. He thought he was going to get away with it. Clearly, this man didn't know what he was doing. Sick. It's sad. Like I mean, the whole escort thing is not. It's not a safe. It's not a safe career to do. It's not. It's not. It's just not. And I feel really sad for her. She had so much potential to be, you know, anything she wanted to be, and I'm sad that she chose that dangerous profession and went out to a state all by herself, no type of protection, nothing, in a very sad, sketchy type of industry. Just all right, so let's play this and I'll see if you guys have anything to say about the sad updates in this sad story.
Now to those new disturbing details in the Felicia Johnson case, court documents revealing how she met 28-year-old Chukwuebuka Nwobodo, the man wanted in her murder. The documents also detailing how he allegedly researched ways to cover up the crime. Our Brittany Ford breaks down the very latest on the investigation.
Court documents show Nwobodo made a plan to cover up Felicia's murder. I do want to warn, some of the details are graphic. What happened to Felicia Johnson? Questions haunting a heartbroken family and the community who has been following her case closely.
This was a wicked crime, and a crime against women, and a crime against humanity.
Court documents revealing 28-year-old Chukwuebuka Nwobodo called an Uber for Johnson in the early morning hours of April 16th after she had posted an advertisement on an Escort website. The Uber taking Johnson to a location on Wind Chase Boulevard, an apartment Nwobodo had recently moved out of. Police say Nwobodo picked Felicia up, taking her to his current residence on South Richmond Avenue. Records say he left the apartment shortly after, where he allegedly disposed of her purse and bloody cell phone near Bear Creek Park. The documents highlighting Nwobodo was taken into custody during a traffic stop in early May, but released after officers seized his cell phone. Investigators found Nwobodo had made multiple purchases at a Walmart, including trash bags, towels, and a flashlight, along with a mechanical saw from Walmart and Home Depot. And in the following days had multiple online searches related to Can Bleach Destroy DNA? How to Be a Serial Killer, and Most Forested Part of Houston. A search warrant issued on his Richmond Avenue apartment found DNA police believe is a strong match to that of Felicia's. Johnson's body hasn't been recovered.
Help us find him and get him arrested. For this man is a predator.
Brittany Ford, KHOU 11 News.
So guys, it's just this story has become even more dark and sinister. Being in that type of industry, being an escort, it's bound to have a lot of danger. And what made her even more susceptible to this type of tragedy is that she flew all the way to a different state that she's probably not even familiar with, all by herself, no form of protection, and she's in a very dangerous field of work, I would say. You know, escorting and being a stripper, those are very dangerous types of, you know, people choose a new form of income, I guess. And so she kind of, you know, was susceptible to this very sad tragedy of these predators that, you know, respond to these ads, this escort ads. I'm not even sure she was familiar with that type of area, the people out there, any of that. It's just very sad. Oh gosh, this one just made me heartbroken. What do you guys think about this? I heard he had gone to Walmart and another store to buy stuff to kill. Yeah, that's what the video said. Hi, Kenya. How are you, sweetie? Oh, no, what did I miss? Oh, yeah, Kenya. So it's crazy, girl. I don't know if you were here yesterday about the Felicia Johnson story. So the updates are, I mean, sadly, she's no longer with us. We were hoping and praying that she was, but she's not. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a 24-year-old she's a 24-year-old young woman from San Diego, California. She celebrated her birthday in April, flew out to Texas to start a new life, in my opinion. She first started by trying to apply to be a dancer at a club. I don't think they really wanted, you know, African-American women there, so they turned her away from there. So she tried another avenue of posting an escort ad, allegedly, according to this update. And that the sick guy who took her life, he responded to the ad. But I believe he already had been searching for ways to be a successful serial killer based upon the news reports and the search of his computer. And he planned this whole thing out. He tried to escape being he's such an idiot. This guy thought that he could tell her to take an Uber to an old apartment address where he used to reside so that he can throw the officers off of their tracks. And so then he came to pick her up at this apartment complex and then took her to his actual apartment complex. But then these people are so dumb because they don't realize that the FBI officers, they're so sophisticated. They can track all this stuff by just looking at phone records, all that stuff. So, I mean, he clearly, all that information was a paper trail. There's always a paper trail, always. I don't think he ever intended to pay this woman for her services. I think he already had the ill intention. And the sad part is, it's now June. This happened back in April. They've been searching for this guy. This guy could already be well off into Nigeria by now because he is a Nigerian. He probably already flew out months ago, but they can already track that. They could look up, flights in his name. I don't know if he used an alias or something to take that flight, if he did already fly out to Nigeria. But if he used his actual government name, they could track that. And they would be able to determine if he already had flown out of the country. So they haven't mentioned that. So maybe they haven't found any determination that he left the country. So he's still based on what I'm hearing, he's still on the run. There's some reports saying he was actually picked up, but I don't think so. I think he's still on the run. Let me know if you guys have seen any other reports. Mechanical saw. Yeah, it was vicious, you guys. I think he chopped her up and put her and discarded her body out in the middle of nowhere in Houston. Like you said, like the search said on this video, he basically was searching for isolated areas where he could discard her body. I think he probably chopped her poor body up into little pieces, you guys, and just discarded her body in an isolated area in Houston. That's probably what he did. And then he discarded her belongings in a park. This guy, he didn't know what he was doing. This was probably his first shot at it in America, at least, because he was so sloppy with it. Everything was sloppy. It's just a sad story, man. I mean, this woman has so much potential. Look how pristine her makeup and her hair is. She could have been a great hairstylist. She could have, gone into the fashion industry, been a image consultant. She could have done so much more with her life, but I really think it has to do with her upbringing. If allegedly what people are saying is true, if it's true that her dad is a pimp, her choice of profession, this dangerous industry, could have stemmed from her upbringing, from what she's seen her father being a part of, or did he pimp her out? I don't know. Those are the allegations, guys. I don't know if that's true that he's a pimp or not. But people in the chat were saying yesterday that they had heard that was, something of an allegation. So it's just sad. Hi, Purple Love. Have you heard about this story, Purple Love? It's so sad. When I found the updates about this woman. Hi, NYC Songman. Hi. And that was a pretty dumb gamut for the manic to play. Didn't this monster know that authorities would research everyone that has ever lived at that residence? Exactly, NYC. These people are dumb. He even Googled how to, if you didn't come in earlier, NYC, but he searched how to become a serial killer. Don't they realize that the officers can track all previous searches? Like, all this stuff can be tracked there. Like I said, there's a paper trail of all of this stuff. They search all of that information up. So this guy, he clearly was ill-advised of the sophistications in America and the police resources that they can utilize. I don't think he's American. He is possibly from Nigeria. But yeah, Purple Love, this story is so sad. I don't know if you've been following this story, Purple Love. It's been going on since April, but it seems like this story gets more and more devastating and tragic. But the profession she chose, being an escort, being in that type of field, and then flying out to a state where she's not familiar with, all by herself. She was searching for adult entertainment club type employment, and then realized when she wasn't successful at that, she started submitting ads for being an escort to get finances. And it's just sad. If what people are saying is true about the dad, I really think her upbringing in that type of lifestyle could have been her influence for why she chose this dangerous industry. Oh, it's so sad, guys. Anything else you guys want to say about this? Otherwise, we're just going to end this live. Just wanted to give you guys an update on this sad, sad story. All right, guys, just keep her family and your prayers. Be on the lookout for this sick man if you guys are in the Texas area. I don't know if he's even in Texas anymore. Let's see if we could find.
Tonight, there's a major.
Let me see if we can find a photo of this sick man. Where is he? So it's going to be hard to find her because she's probably already, you know, in bits and pieces. They're going to probably just find, and it's already been 2 months, so they're just probably going to have to do a DNA test and probably dental records to even identify her once they do get her. Let's see if we can find a photo of this guy, just in case you guys have not been following this story. But like I said, I don't know if he already went to Nigeria by now. It's been 2 months. He could have, but like I said, they can still track that. So they would have been able to see if there are any flights that have gone out with his name, unless he's using an alias or something. I don't know, but here is the man. Let's see if we can find a good photo of his sick man. Oh wait, I thought there's a better photo of him right here. He's a pretty tall dude. But see, I mean, if you're going to be in that industry, I mean, I'm not for the whole escort thing, but if you're going to be in that, like I said, we talked about this yesterday if you were on the live, you need to have your own firearm and be trained. Take the classes to be trained, how to use it, how to operate it, how to safely store it. And you should be having a firearm on you if you're going to be in that type of lifestyle. I mean, that's a dangerous choice of profession, and going out to another state on your own with no type of protection, no one there, was already kind of setting herself up. It is so sad. She died so young, had so much potential. I saw that usually to randomly kill someone, you're mentally deficient. Yeah, not all there. Exactly, NYC Songman. Exactly. And he's clearly a sociopath or a psychopath, because this man literally was trying to make a career out of this. NYC. He was trying to make a career out of this. He looked up how to become a serial killer. I think, and we've seen serial killers like this. I don't remember the names, but if you guys put in the chat, there was another gentleman. He killed tons of women, and he particularly targeted women who are in the escort industry, or yeah, a lot of them were escorts. A lot of them were escorts or prostitutes and stuff like that. He would target them, and he killed many of them. He was a black man, and they actually did an interview of him after they found out. He knew every single woman. He had took their life and described them, and was so sinister when he was telling the officers about it. If you guys know that guy's name, put it in the chat. But he was sick too, so this guy could be a copycat. He could have saw that story and wanted to make that a career. It's sick, guys. There's some sick people out there. Hi, I missed this, but I had to vote. I will catch this from the beginning. Yeah, hi, LaDonna. Hi, sweetie. Thank you for coming on. He probably clicked on the more forested places in Houston, breadcrumbs to track. Exactly. He sure did. And he found somewhere. So that's the thing. Depending on where he stored her, basically scattered her body, they're going to have a hard time trying to find her. That's why it's taking them so long. But if he brought his phone, because this guy is dumb anyway, he probably brought his phone. And if he brought his phone with him to where the location was, they're going to be able to track that. They just got to just ping where his cell phone was pinging when he basically hit her body, wherever he hit her body. But it's going to be hard for them to even recover her body. It's sad. Oh, this might be a nobody trial. It might be a nobody trial. We'll see if he brought his cell phone. But this guy seems like an idiot. He probably did bring his cell phone with him. So they'll probably, if he did, they'll be able to track where he was. Everything about that profession. Exactly, Sunra Libra. It is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. So, I don't condone that type of lifestyle, but if people choose that, like I was talking about on my live, women need to have firearms, but you need to be trained. Don't go out and buy one. Just go get trained first. Go to the shooting range to learn how to shoot and find the proper firearm, and you need to have that on you at all times. If you're, in general, women should have that. Watch my previous live about this same story when I was talking about that. But if you're going to be in that type of industry, you're even more so should have a firearm, because there are sick people like this man on the screen who target women. They're not intending to pay for these services. They will target these women for the particular reason to take their life, because they feel like women who are in the escort industry have no value and that no one's going to look for them. Because a lot of times the judicial system, law enforcement, investigators do not value the life of escorts. And it's very sad. It's very sad and unfortunate, but they don't really put much investigation into those stories. They kind of put them on the back burner. And that is why that individual who was a serial killer who used to kill all those escorts, that's why he got away with it for many, many years, because as soon as the law enforcement or the investigators found out about these different women who'd been missing, were in the escort industry, they stopped investigating. They just put the case to the back burner and moved on. And so many, many years, this guy was getting away with it until like he had killed, I don't know, 10, 20 women. And once I find that story, I will post the story in my description so you can watch him. The man was sick, but he was getting away with it for so many years because as soon as they researched the woman or whoever was missing, there was many women, the different women, when they found out that the woman was a prostitute or she was an escort or whatever, those investigators didn't really put much work into the stories. So a lot of these sick men will target women who are prostitutes, escorts for that reason, because they know that a lot of times investigators, law enforcement don't put much emphasis on researching and investigating those type of criminal cases or missing persons cases. And so they feel like, oh, well, this is an easy crime I can get away with. I can just keep doing that. But this sick man realized, no, not in this case. Maybe, and I'm hoping maybe, law enforcement is changing their way of investigating these cases. I think because this case went viral and there was so much public attention on her story that law enforcement felt pressured to actually investigate this one and put this case at a priority because it's publicized, it's all over the news. So those type of cases, they're going to put more, investigation and resources into those cases. That's why it's very imperative that as the Black community, when there are situations like this, when there are injustices and deaths of, Black individuals, for example, law enforcement, or really it's law enforcement, or an example of Ahmaud Arbery scenarios, protesting and women going out, especially Black women, because we carry these movements, going out and protesting and making our voice heard is truly imperative. And those type of reactions and the protesting and the vocalizing the injustices is what puts pressure on the judicial system to act on those cases as it relates to the Black community. It's very sad that we have to do that. But as I have seen, our voice really does matter, and it really is the triggering factor that brings forth encouragement and pressure on the judicial system, law enforcement, FBI, so forth, to actually investigate the case. It's very sad that we have to go through all this, but it really is showing the difference when, Black women stand up, because most of the time, like I said, Black women are the ones that carry these cases. When they stand up, they protest, they vocalize, they put pressure on, our political figures and law enforcement to make change or to investigate. That's when we see actual quality investigation work. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, look at all the different cases out there. Whereas you can see the difference with the Christian Toby case when there wasn't any protests. Black women said, no, not today, not this time. This is not our fight, because, of course, we already know his history with his perception, his ill perception of the Black woman and degrading of the Black woman, even though it was many years prior. But Black women have a standard now, which I'm very proud of that. As a Black woman, we should have standards. But you notice how when Black women did not protest, it's been a very quiet case. It's kind of been buried away, and the investigators felt no pressure to really investigate. So we don't know if Christian Toby will ever get justice because the Black woman said not today. This time they're not going to protest. And then you look at the cases where Black women did lead movements, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. This particular case, Felicia Johnson's case, went viral. We've seen a huge, emphasis of this case in the media. You notice how law enforcement is prioritizing and they're utilizing their resources to get justice. It's sad. It's very sad that we have to do this, guys, but that's pretty much showing the importance of the Black community being an advocate for justice as it relates to the Black community. So it's sad. LaDonna, let's read this. This sadly reminds me of the naive young women who go to Dubai. Exactly. Some don't come back. Right, LaDonna. Speak on that. Speak on that. We need to get awareness about that. There's a lot of young women who do go to Dubai and they don't end up coming back. You guys, like LaDonna was saying, you guys got to research where you're going. You know, we have these rose-colored glasses when we go out to these different places, not really knowing the dangers that lurk in those areas. And in this time frame in our life, we need to be more aware of what's going on. We need to be equipped, like I said, with firearm training and other protection resources that I talked about in my prior video for this particular story. We need to be equipped as women, because no one's going to protect you but you at this point, especially when you're alone. You know, your man's not going to always be there, your brother, your father. You need to be able to protect yourself and be trained. Each woman needs to be trained, needs to have self-defense skills, needs to have a taser, a firearm, and a pepper spray. You need to have different forms of protection and know when to utilize each type of weapon, but be trained. Like I said, trained. You need to train yourself. You can't just go purchase things without being trained and knowing how to utilize them. NYC. Yes, up here on Long Island, there was a serial killer that targeted, yep, exactly, SCX workers. The place is Gilgo Beach, Suffolk County. Not sure if there has been an arrest. I don't think so. Right, NYC, Songman. We need to bring awareness about that, because if you're in that type of industry, like I said, it's not the best industry. Try to find something, you know, go to school, get a business, something like that. But people who chose that career, you have to realize you're a target. You are a target. They feel like your life doesn't matter. And so they are more susceptible to target those type of women, because like I said, the law enforcement doesn't really investigate those cases. The only reason why this case is different, like I said, because of the media attention. That's the really only difference. And I don't think they really knew when they were first looking, you know, into her story. They didn't know her profession. They didn't know her occupation. So as they're digging more into it, they realize, oh, she's into the escort, you know, career. But it didn't matter. By then, her case already has been viral. So law enforcement has pressure on them to investigate and find this man. There's no other way around it. It's already been publicized. This case is viral. So that's why this case is different than the other cases we see. Luckily, this case went viral, because otherwise, poor Felicia would have been just another number, another missing person that would be on a photo, and they would have just, you know, left it there saying, and I don't know, law enforcement makes me so irritated, because they'll say, oh, there's no belief of foul play. They probably would have said something like that. They would have, you know, said, oh, Felicia Johnson missing, no belief of foul play. When that's a complete lie. It's just they don't value Black lives, and they especially don't value the lives of escorts or individuals in those type of industries. So it's sad, guys. Stories like this go buried. Exactly, Kenya. There's no reason for it. It's sad. Exactly, Kenya. They do. If you look more into these stories, like I said, there's a gentleman who was a serial killer. Oh, let me see. Can I find him? Nobody put it. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. That guy who killed all those escorts, prostitutes. Oh, man, I don't even remember his name. Man, interviewed. I don't know his name, guys, I may not find it for killing multiple. Do you guys know that story I'm talking about? He was a Black man, and for many years, he was getting away with killing all kinds of prostitutes, and it was like they weren't really investigating cases. I mean, they kind of was onto him, but there's a lot of stories like this. But it was a Black. Here he is, Samuel Little, this dude. Remember him, guys? This man was sick.
That you think you're gonna kill? The story of one of America's most infamous murderers.
Because he did this same MO over and over again, he got very good at it.
And see,
His own words on the killings.
these type of sick men, they particularly choose Black women, because they're already aware that, you know, law enforcement doesn't value the lives of Black women and Black men. So they particularly choose Black women, and then they narrow it down to Black women who are prostitutes. They pick those women for a reason, because they know that they're more than likely going to be able to skirt through society, and law enforcement's not going to put resources into those type of cases. Once they know the ethnicity, once they know what the industry she's in, they're just gonna, you know, put it on the back burner, say, oh, this person's missing, and move on. That's why this man got away with it. So you guys need to look up Samuel Little. Let's just look at a little bit of this, but Samuel Little, look up his story, and you will see this man was sick. And I think this new guy, the Nigerian man, was trying to become the new Samuel Little. He was already researching how to master this thing, and he started targeting particular women. Like I said, Black women who are escorts, prostitutes, those type of industries.
Did you have any conversation with her?
My mind was on killing her.
And hear from the people who sat across from.
Did you hear that? My mind was on killing her. That's how I believe this Nigerian man's mind was. He already researched it, his whole focus before he met her. That's why he strategically told her to meet him at an apartment where he no longer resided, so he could throw officers off of his trail. But little did he know, as an idiot, all this information is documented on her phone. So it's like, he still got caught.
Evil.
I'll never in my life ever interview another killer like that in my career.
Trump be another great. I mean, great. So y'all got on to find him.
Look how sinister he is. He's laughing as he's talking about all the women he killed.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we do a deeper dive.
That was lit. That big old.
Telling you his story.
He had a gap between teeth everywhere. She's too big for me to carry her, so I just pulled out a car and laid him on that trash. That was lit.
There was no remorse.
So they had him draw images. Have you seen that drawing? What they did was have him draw. This man had a photographic memory of how each woman looked. He could describe the whole interaction, how he killed her, how he met her, her responses to the murders. He goes into that photographic description of each murder. And it's as if it was a trophy. This man was feeling like it was a trophy. And you could see the smirk on his face as he talks about the different murders. And he was proud of each one. It was just sick. Let me see if I can find an article on it, because I'll let you guys go ahead and watch that whole documentary. I'm not going to go through the whole documentary. But take your time to watch that, because you'll really start seeing the sick things that are going on in our country, especially as it relates to prostitutes and how these sick men who become serial killers, they particularly target Black women who are escorts in that escort type industry, because like I said, law enforcement, FBI, they don't really prioritize those type of cases. Let's see if we can find a little bit about this. Samuel Little. Okay, let's see. Maybe we can do this. There's still more murders out there that they say that they have not been able to find all of them. This man killed so many Black women. It's just, the number is crazy. And he's 93 now? Okay, so new DNA testing on the way. They're still figuring out, this man has killed so many women. They're still looking, they're still looking up all the things, the women. They're not even done. So that's a picture he drew when they were investigating him. He was drawing pictures of the different women that he killed.
Saturday, Much the Life Rich Health Purple Preview. Welcome to our show. I'm Mark Viviano. Featuring the injury report. The Ravens injured reserve list is a long one. Brought to you by Life Rich.
So this article is basically saying new DNA testing underway in the Samuel Little murder case in Laurel. So this was another woman. This man killed so many guys. The number is just crazy. He drew this picture too. He has tons of photos he drew of all the women he killed. The Prince George County's Cold Case Unit announced Wednesday new DNA testing in the Samuel Little murder case of 1972. Within the last week, detectives sent the victim's firmer to a laboratory in Virginia for extensive DNA testing. Little confessed to strangling 93 victims, y'all. 93. And that's probably not even an accurate number. There's a lot more than who he killed. And he killed between 1970 to 2005. See how disgusting this is? That the law enforcement, all those years, those decades, they left these different women by the wayside because of who they were, black women, and because of their industry in the sex field. So he got away with this. Man skirted through society, killing these different women because none of the officers took the time to really value these women's lives. And that's why sick people like this Nigerian is doing targeted this woman because of certain characteristics she had. Because you see stories like this. So he killed 93 women, strangled them, including a woman in Laurel, Maryland. That's more than were committed by Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer combined. And those two were also serial killers. But see, Ted Bundy, he chose Caucasian women that had brunette hair. They weren't prostitutes. They were, women that law enforcement society would see as valuable people. I know I have to say that. It's just sad. That's how they would perceive those women as. So he wouldn't have gotten, they were really on him, basically. They were on him, investigating him because of the women that he chose. But see, Samuel Little strategically chose black women who were in the escort industry because he, I believe, particularly knew that law enforcement wasn't going to put much emphasis on those type of cases. Those women would just go by the wayside, and he was able to skirt through multiple decades of killing 93 women, you guys. That's sick. And he memorized all these key details. Look how he drew a detail, this woman's picture. Her hair all the way down to her eyes. He knew everything about each woman. That's how sick this man was. Each woman that he took and strangled, he had to look these women in the eyes and memorialized who they were as a form of a trophy. That's how sick he was. And I believe Nigerian man in this Felicia Johnson case was trying to research how he could now basically take the place and become the new Samuel Little, in my opinion. But see, now we're in a different generation where, like I said, in this case, thank God, Felicia Johnson's case got a lot of media attention. So law enforcement couldn't go about the way they normally would, especially in Texas, where they would have just said, oh, okay, missing person, no foul play, believed maybe she just chose to go missing on her own. She'll show up on her own and we'll just move on to the next case. That's what they would have done. But they couldn't do that this time. They had to actually investigate. So earlier this week, Little, a convicted serial killer, sketched a drawing of a young woman he confessed to killing in Prince George's County, 1972. And as you guys already know, back in 1972, law enforcement didn't have many resources as well to research these cases. So that's another reason why he was able to skirt through society and just kill all these different people. But this is just one example of the many drawings he did. If you watch, and I'm going to see if I can attach one of the documentaries, if you can watch it, you'll see how detailed this man could remember all the key characteristics of each of his victims. It's just, he was a sick person. Little is currently serving 3 life sentences in California. Why are all these sick people in California? I'm like, what is all these sickos? What's up with California? Before FBI agents knew about his connection to these dozens of murders, Little was already in prison for beating and strangling 3 women. And this man strategically chose strangulation as his form of murdering. That's even more sick because he's trying to connect with these women in a sick, sinister way when they choose that type of method. This man's even more sick. He got an enjoyment out of seeing these women suffer. That's why he chose that particular form of taking her life, these different women's lives. Now the FBI is asking the public to help identify more victims of the man they say is America's most prolific serial killer. So 93, you guys, is not even the actual number. He killed more than that. The 93 is just a small estimation. He went through decades and decades and decades of just killing tons of women. The whole story, you got to watch the whole story, you guys, because this man is sick. And even how he describes it, it just looks like he is proud of what he has done. He's sick. He's sick. And story just makes me think of the Felicia Johnson story, because it makes me think that maybe the Nigerian man was trying to become the 2022 generation, I guess, Samuel Little. It's just sick. It's sick. So it's very sad. I think this story with Felicia Johnson just brings awareness that, it's not a good, safe industry. It's not a safe industry to get into the escort field. I I really wish Felicia Johnson would have had a better upbringing. I don't know if her dad is really a pimp, like people are saying. If he was, I don't know if that's where she got her influence to choose that type of career, but it's just sad that she's no longer with us. Oh man, guys, so sad. Sonra Libra. I'm definitely going to look this up. I never heard of him. You never heard of him, Sonra? Girl, this story went viral with the Samuel Little. Guys, definitely look up the Samuel Little story. Let me know what you guys think about that story. Come back to this video and let me know what you think. Stories like this, yeah, exactly, Kenya. They do go buried. All right, thank you guys for listening to me. Take care. God bless you.